Unbelievably, this is my 100th video. It's been just over 3 years of hard work, but we're finally here. And I thought it would be incredibly useful to share with you the 4 key lessons that I've learned about photography whilst making these 100 videos. And if you commit to doing these 4 simple things, I can almost guarantee that your photography will hit another level. So let's have a look back over all those years. So there I am, just over 3 years ago, out making my very first video. I had a GoPro Hero 11, I had the Volta selfie stick, my famous orange jacket, and a can-do attitude. And that's where it ends, because I had no idea how to shoot a video, I had no idea how to talk to the camera, and as you can see, I like to let everybody see straight up my nose because I was holding the camera at waist height. But we've all got to start somewhere, and it's the same in photography. If you feel like it's overwhelming or you're daunted by your camera, just know that everybody has to start somewhere, because the process of making videos is exactly the same as taking photographs. The more you do it, the more familiar you become with your gear, and then the better you get. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's have a look at the first major lesson that I've learned. Now, if you're a regular viewer and you've stuck around the channel for a while, well, firstly, thank you so much for that. But secondly, it'll come as no surprise that I'm going to mention composition as one of the key things that I've learned. I've made a ton of videos on it, and I've even written an ebook all about it. And that's because I think it's simply the most important thing when it comes to making good photographs. Composition is the cornerstone that I base all of my photography on. In the early days, I used to get overwhelmed by the places that I visited or the things that I pointed my camera at. And I found myself trying to capture a feeling rather than trying to make a photograph. And you can see from the photographs on the screen exactly what I'm talking about. These mountains are majestic, but without a clear subject or any sense of scale, it's hard to feel any sort of attachment to them. They're just incredibly meh. So as the years have progressed, I've studied more and more about composition. I've tried lots of the different techniques, from the rule of thirds to symmetry to frames within frames, and that's something I would thoroughly recommend that you do. If composition isn't something you've spent a lot of time on, then maybe go and watch a few of my videos on the subject, because the act of composing a photograph seems tricky when you first do it, but with everything, the more you try, the more you start to train your eye to look at the scene differently. You know, should this be on the left? Should the horizon be in the top third? Or should I put the subject in the middle of the frame? Or should I think about where the person is walking and give them enough room in the frame to walk into? All of these are decisions to make when you set yourself up to make a photograph. And as you can see from these photographs here, that once I started to apply the rules of composition, everything started to make sense for me. I didn't always get it right, but I was always on a journey of progress at this point. And more often than not, I learned something new, which I could take out on my next journey with the camera. So the greatest takeaway that I've learned in over 100 videos: composition is everything. The next major lesson that I've learned is that 90% of the time, it pays to have a good subject. Now first, a caveat, I'm not saying that 100% of your photographs have to have a clearly defined subject. Sometimes a beautiful sunrise or a beautiful sunset can be that subject, or even the light itself, you know, when it's breaking through the clouds and lighting up the land in the distance. They can make really dramatic and emotional shots. But for the other 90% of the time, for me, it's important to have that clearly defined subject. And one of the things that I noticed in the early days was that I'd visit these incredible locations with huge mountains and dramatic scenery that were absolutely awesome to see with my own eyes, but they weren't quite so awesome when I got home and looked at the photographs on the computer. And that's because they were missing a clearly defined subject. And with that, you're trying to tell its story. Instead of just saying, oh look, there's a nice boat, and taking a photograph of the boat, you want to have a look about and think about how you can compose the image to support your main subject. You know, are there any old ropes tied up that you can use as foreground? Are there seagulls flying overhead? Because when you start to marry all of these things together, you start to tell a story, which makes a photograph far more engaging. And it's worth noting, subjects can be anything. It doesn't have to be a person, it doesn't have to be a castle. It's just something that caught your eye that you thought was interesting and that you wanted to capture. And remember, where you place that subject within the frame, which touches on the composition from the previous chapter, that makes a world of difference too. You know, do you put it in the middle of the frame so it's the hero of the shot? Do you put it at the top of the frame to give it a sense of grandiosity? Or do you push it off to the left-hand side to create a sense of tension? Where you place your subject matters almost as much as what the subject is. And here's a little bonus tip. When you're taking a photograph of a really strong subject, try and simplify the image. Remember, photography is more about what you leave out than what you try to cram in. So give it room to breathe and think about how it sits against the background. How have you framed it with the foreground? Because as you can see in these photographs, the subject itself is only part of the story. How it's presented to the viewer is just as important. The third light bulb moment that I've had looking back over the videos is that pressing the shutter button isn't the end of the process. It's sometimes just the very beginning. Now this might be unpopular, but I'm a big believer that you should edit your photographs. There, I've said it. I know that for some it seems like another unnecessary step, and if you shoot in JPEG and you're happy with that, then that's all good, more power to you. But if you really want to enhance the story that you're telling, then getting familiar with editing your photographs, to me, is an essential step. And that's where the sponsor of today's video comes in, Luminar Neo. Because whilst Luminar is a fully developed, powerful piece of software, the way they approach things is very user-friendly. You only have to look at some of the sliders to see exactly what moving them is going to do to your image. But I found myself more and more using Luminar as my only dedicated editor, because they keep developing it, they keep adding more tools, and they keep refining what's already there. So anyway, enough talking about it, let's dig in and I'll show you an edit and what you can achieve from start to finishing using Luminar Neo. We're going to use this photograph here. I'm going to go into edit, and as you can see, it's a decently composed image, but the highlights are too high, the shadows are maybe a little bit too dark, and it's quite a flat image just now. So what we're going to do is we're going to click into the edit here, and we're going to look at our tools. And this is the great thing about Luminar Neo. If I really want to make a big difference with the least amount of effort, all I have to do is click into Enhance and then start bringing up the accent button. And what you'll see is it starts to lift some of the details in the shadows, and it starts to control the highlights for me too. So even just that little change there, if I show you the before and the after, that's sometimes all you need to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the Develop module, which lets us control all of the parameters of Lightroom. So your exposure, your highlights and your shadows. And what I want to do here is I'm going to raise the exposure just a little touch more, round about there. Now again, the sky is quite overbearing. I'm going to go into the masking and I'm going to choose Object Select. And then all I have to do is hover over and I can see the different things that it will choose to mask for me. So we're going to pick the sky here. And now all I need to do is go back into the adjustments and I can start to lower the highlights, bring a bit more details back in the sky, a little bit more control, and that's starting to look a little bit better. But most editing software can do this. So let's look at some of the special things that Luminar can do. So let's have a look at light depth, for example. So I'm going to put this way up high, and what you can see is it's starting to raise the exposure in one part of the image. And what's really cool about this is that if you grab this slider here, I can start to slide through the image where the light is until I feel it's in the right place. So we'll leave that there. It is a little bit much just now, so we'll bring that back. And if I feel it's a little bit too cold, I can get the warmth slider and I can start bringing in the warmth of that morning sun. So again, we're already starting to look better. But again, I want to see if I can get a little bit more sharpness in here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a look at the structure AI here. And I'm going to bring in some of that here. And again, if I push it all the way up, it raises the exposure slightly, but we start to enhance the image a little bit better. Okay, so it's all starting to look really, really good. The only thing is this green color, I'm not a huge fan of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my Develop module. I'm going to come down to Curves and I'm going to choose the green curve. Now, if I start playing about with that, you can see it has a huge effect on that. But what I want to do is I'm just going to look at the greens just now. That's about right there. And the skies went a bit of a funny colour, so I'm going to just move that back up a touch. So again, if we look at the before and after just now, we go from this flat, lifeless image to this one here, and it's really starting to come to life. Again, it doesn't stop there. There are a load of different sliders, and as I said, they're very sort of self-explanatory as to what they do. So again, we click on the dramatic slider, and we can slide that all the way up, and you can see the sharpness increase in that, and it does become a little more of an aggressive, uneasy edit. But we bring that back down a little bit, and you can start to see the texture in the rocks again jumping out. Another great way to add some more interest to your photograph is by using the mood sliders. And if you click in there, you can choose a different LUT. So you can look at the cinema toning ones, for example, and if you hover over them, it'll give you some different ideas of which kind of edit that you're looking for. So again, if you think you've went too far, you can just always come back to the develop settings. If you think the colours are too rich, you can come down to the saturation slider, just pull it back a touch, and you can end up with quite a natural looking edit. So there you have it, Luminar Neo. The great thing about it is you really only need to buy it once and you're not paying a monthly subscription. And if you want to update on an annual basis, that's entirely down to you. And that's not the same case with Adobe and their ever-increasing monthly costs. So we started here with this dull and lifeless image, and after just moving a few sliders about, experimenting, we end up with a far more comprehensive image. And for a very limited period of time, there's a special offer on, which is 20% off if you use the code on the screen just now. And I'll also link it in the description. But that's only until the 7th of July. Thereafter, it's a 10% discount. But once again, thank you to Luminar Neo for sponsoring this video and continue to be good supporters of the channel. Okay, so the final major lesson that I've learned, and whilst this may seem very obvious, is actually sometimes quite difficult to do. And that is learning the lesson that you don't become a good photographer by reading about photography or watching videos like this about photography. You become a good photographer by going out there and taking photographs. Yes, books and videos are great in the early days, and if you've got questions you need answered or you're not really sure how your gear works, but that's a technical aspect of photography. The creative side, or the artistic side of photography, really only starts to happen once you're out on location. Because if you're sitting at home just reading about photography, you're going to get yourself bogged down in trying to be perfect. And that's when you can lose the enjoyment of photography and give it up. So just remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about going out and trying to capture your vision. It's about conveying emotion through your photographs. And I don't believe that you can learn that solely from a book or a video. There has to come a point where you start putting it into practice. So once you've got the basics down and you're heading out, just remember to get curious, get playful, and get out there. So 100 videos. I truly can't believe it. But again, I just wanted to thank you for coming along for the journey. And to celebrate the milestone, I thought I would offer a tasty discount on my 2 ebooks. So if you'd like to pick them up, the link will be in the description. But the offer will only be valid until the 101st video comes out, which will probably be next week. It's been a journey so far, and I've enjoyed every step. Even when things went wrong, I've always learned something. And the feedback that you've given me has always been largely positive. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next 100.